And thank you for joining us for Democracy 2012. Joseph Krysztoforski is a candidate in the 6th Congressional District. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
We'll start with your opening statement.
Hi, I'm Joe Krysztoforski. I'm running for Congress in the 6th Congressional District. I'll bring to Congress over 35 years' experience in education, technology, healthcare, banking, finance, community service, emergency management, and the political arena. Using my experience across multiple disciplines as a CEO, business executive, and entrepreneur, I'll return common sense to the House of Representatives. My legislative priorities are all national security issues, starting off with economic and fiscal accountability. We have to reduce the national debt and cut spending and send a balanced budget amendment to the states with spending limits and emergency action provisions, and reduce our dependency on foreign sources to fund the government. The second one is energy self-reliance. We have to increase domestic production and embrace free market principles and innovation and diversification of fuel choices in order to include biodiesel, coal, gasification, nuclear gas, natural gas, thermal, and when it's right, wind and solar. Immigration is a security issue. We have to secure our borders, implement E-Verify, enforce our immigration laws, no jobs for illegal aliens with impunity, no amnesty with impunity, no in-state tuition, and reserve birthright citizenship to children of U.S. citizens and resident aliens. The economy, jobs, rising energy prices, community development, economic development, infrastructure are basic priorities for both the urban and the rural areas of the 6th District.
All right, a couple of questions that we'll throw at you. Over the past few years, this country has been in the middle of a serious economic recession. So what would you do to help the turnaround continue?
Well, we need to put America back to work. The U.S. ranks 13 in ease of starting a business. We should be number 1. Businesses create jobs, not the government. Congress has to reform the tax code. We have to limit regulations to those that are indisputably required, and we have to open up overseas markets to U.S. goods, and we have to rein in the NLRB. As we remove barriers to limiting predictability and economic growth, businesses will take risks, expand, and create new job opportunities.
All right, now let's talk about gas prices across the land have spiked in recent weeks. So what strategies do you plan to use and try to curb the rise of rising gas prices?
Well, I hate to use a catchphrase, but to put it simply, drill, baby, drill. I touched on it a little bit in my opening statement. The recent boom in North Dakota is a prime example of vast amounts of untapped oil reserves right here in the United States. They're producing over 418,000 barrels of oil per day there, and it's estimated that the wells will continue to produce for 30 to 40 years. We're sitting on over 2 trillion barrels of oil in the United States and billions of cubic feet of natural gas. We need to tap it for domestic use while exploring alternative sources, including thorium-based nuclear reactors, which are safer than uranium-based reactors, and waste from thorium reactors remains radioactive for a mere few hundred years, rather than tens of thousands of years. It's much more difficult to turn thorium into weapons-grade material. There's no possibility of meltdown, and it can burn existing high-level waste as well as old nuclear stockpiles.
All right, rising oil prices are blamed for tensions going on in the Middle East, specifically Iran. So what do you think the U.S.'s role should be in dealing with Iran?
Well, we have to remain strong and not let our guard down. Iran is the prevalent threat in the Middle East. We have to make sure that we stand strong against them potentially gaining nuclear weapons. Together with our allies, we have to continue to impose the economic sanctions and diplomatically isolate Iran and keep the military option on the table. However, we have to only take military action when the threat presents a clear, credible, present danger to the stability of the Middle East or our allies and the security of the United States. We can't stand idly by and let Iran develop its nuclear weapon program and obtain nuclear capabilities.
All right, the Supreme Court has now taken up the issue of President Obama's Affordable Care Act. So what's your stance on this?
Well, passage of the legislation is the biggest turn the country's taken towards socialism in the last 70 years. We're well on our way to shredding the Constitution. If the mandate is ruled constitutional, it'll open the door to the federal government controlling any aspect of American life, from the type of cars we drive to how we bring up our children and the types of food that we eat.
And based on recent events in Afghanistan, do you believe the U.S.